In case you weren't aware, the Department of Defense just removed 180 of what Secretary Hegseth deemed as minority and non-traditional religious or belief systems. They could no longer be listed on the service members' personnel records. Among those no longer recognized are humanism, paganism, Wiccan, Native American spirituality, and Unitarian Universalism. Secretary Hegseth decreed that only 31 religious affiliations would be recognized, and they fall into two categories. 8 are non-Christian, which thankfully at least include Buddhism, Judaism, Islam, Hindi, and a few others, and the remaining 23 are all Christian denomination. If a service member is not one of those favored 31s, their choice for their personnel records is simply other or non-denominational. And if you have any feelings about this one way or the other, I suggest you reach out to your elected representative, because we know that anytime things like this become normalized, it's only a stepping stone for the next thing. We are grateful for the return of Sarah Kappes as our special guest musician this morning. Enjoy her music now, and then later read about her in your order of service. That was absolutely beautiful. And I don't know about you, but I was singing a few of the words that I knew in my head, and it could not have been a more perfect introduction to today's service. I invite you to listen to the words of Kimmy Floyd Reich to remind us of why we flourish together. Beloveds, we were never meant to hide in closets. And we were never meant to be spoken of in whispered corners by a world filled with others afraid of their own reflections. We are from the flame of Channing's truth, Olympia Brown's relentlessness, in Lou Alcott's defiance of societal expectations, and Thoreau's solitude of freedom and freedom of solitude. We are here, heirs of a theology that says love is love. The soul is not gendered. That covenants live in the heart, not courtrooms. Laws can be cruel and narrow, but our faith remains wide and widening still more until every child hears their pronouns in liturgies and every parent of a trans child hears their entire congregation reflect back, "You are not alone," in the face of their fears. We have always been here, from pulpits to picket lines, from the ancestors others called heretics to our kitchen tables where we sit with chosen families speaking our truths becoming real. The world may pass bans, overturn laws, rewrite constitutions, threaten us, but our marriages were holy before they were licensed, and our identities were sacred before we had names. Today, again, and every day, bless those coming out and those staying in. Bless the drag queens, bless the transitioning, bless the questioning, bless the kinfolk, bless our chosen families, and bless us because we have faced ourselves, loved ourselves, saw ourselves, and we declare we are beauty and goodness and unicorns with a bit of rainbow and a lot of heart. We gather now in the wake of their efforts to erase as a sign that we are not so easy to erase, and knowing that we are literally love becoming. We were never meant to hide. We were always meant to blaze. Thank you. Our Director of Lifelong Religious Education, Beth Curtis, will come to share her message in this part of the service that is called Time for All Ages, because the message Beth brings is something we all can learn from. Beth?
Thank you, Donna, and good morning. Someone's being silly. This morning, I'm going to read a different type of book than I've ever read up here on a Sunday morning. And this is called a board book. Now, board books are written for very young children and have very thick cardboard pages that can survive being handled by enthusiastic young readers. And this book was donated to the Children's Library by Chris Kynes, and it was written by her nephew. And this morning, I'll be reading Pride is Love by Dan Moreno and illustrated by Nicole P. Now, you may ask, why read a book that was written for 3- and 4-year-olds? Well, it's easy, because sometimes the simplest messages are the most important. And on the cover, we see 2 men and a young child wrapped in a big, loving hug. Now, I've read this author's first book, and about his and his family's adoption, about his and his husband's adoption of a little girl. So I'm guessing this is one that's also about their family. The 2 dads and their daughter have flowers in their hair, confetti all around them, and a rainbow backdrop behind them. On the first page, the sun is rising over a city park, and the 2 dads are watching the little girl make a chain of flowers, and it starts. Pride is discovering you can do marvelous things. On the next page, oh dear, the little girl is crying. It looks like the flower chain has fallen apart. Pride is remembering that you are allowed to make mistakes. And I think that's a really important message, because goodness knows I make a lot of mistakes. On the next page, the dads comfort her as the sun rises a little higher in the sky. Pride is believing You are enough exactly as you are. And on the next page, soon she's smiling again, and they're having a nice conversation on a hill. And they've picked some beautiful red and white flowers they found. Pride is speaking up. Your idea is important. I wonder what she's sharing with her dads. On this page, she's placing a flower crown on one of her dad's heads. Pride is helping. Your kindness is a gift. As our family leave the park hand in hand, ahead of them, the city is filled with colorful banners and flags and people, and it says, "Pride is knowing you have nothing to hide." And one of the dads is holding the progress flag, which is one of the many flags that are a symbol of the LGBTQ+ community. It's also known as one of the pride flags. When we turn the page, it's a burst of color, and people are smiling and marching and celebrating and carrying rainbow flags. Pride is celebrating. You make the world brighter just by being you. And the last page is filled with people showing love to one another. Families, couples, friends, and our two dads and their daughter are surrounded by a heart-shaped streamer. It says, "Pride is love. You deserve it always." What an important message. And a book written for 3- and 4-year-olds really couldn't be more true or simpler, because it is that simple. Everyone deserves love, always. Everyone should be able to love who they love openly. Everyone should be able to be who they are because they are exactly as they should be. And so I'll leave you with the words on the back cover. Pride is believing you are enough, exactly as you are.
The symbol of our faith is a chalice with a flame. Each Sunday, a member of our congregation lights our chalice. Today, as Ashley and Taylor Sylvie come forward, and these two people signed the new membership book this morning, which shows you we put you to work right away. We remember that on June 12, 10 years ago, the Pride nightclub, a place of joy, dance, and authentic belonging, was shattered. I invite you to listen to these words. We light this flame as a beacon of remembrance and a covenant of resistance. Let this light honor the sacred power of chosen family. Let it warm us in our collective grief, which we carry not as defeat, but as evidence of how deeply we love. 10 years later, the building has been demolished, but it will be replaced with a permanent memorial and a museum. And our commitment to one another stands unshakable. May this flame fuel our pursuit of a world free from hatred and gun violence. May it spark in us an unyielding dedication to love, kindness, and defiant joy. We are still here. We are still proud, and we are still united. Thank you. You can sit down. I invite you to please rise in body or spirit and join our song leaders to sing our opening hymn, number 188 in the gray hymnal, "Come, Come, Whoever You Are." The words will also be on the screen. Now, typically, this is sung as a round. We are not singing it as a round. Hear me. We will sing it through 3 times, and as you become more comfortable with it each time, I invite you to turn up the volume and really mean those words, because we do. Whoa, you are awesome. Have a seat. Good morning. I'm Donna Zimmerman, and I'm proud to be your worship leader this morning on this month where our spiritual theme is flourishing together. And anytime we do things together, we can flourish. You may have noticed that there's a bit of excitement and energy in the air this morning, and while we're typically full of good vibes, it is especially so today as we celebrate Pride Sunday. You will see a lot of rainbow clothing and pins and name tag holders, and whether you are one of my beautiful siblings of the rainbow or one of our loving allies, I think you'll agree we sure know how to do it right. Now, I know that there are dark things out there, and others are trying to do things to erase our very existence. I'm not ignoring that. But I recognize that competing truths can coexist. So I refuse to participate in assisting in my own erasure by focusing only on the dark things. Instead, I will fight the darkness encircling us. At the same time, I choose to embrace with a flourish my rainbow identity, thus my multicolored outfit and the uplifting service that we will have today. As I said, not coincidentally, the spiritual theme we are exploring this month is flourishing together. We're happy you joined us today. First-time visitors, I hope you had a chance to stop by the entry table to get a name tag, and so that we are able to see your name and welcome you by name, especially at the coffee or snack time after the service. Whoever you are, however you identify yourself, you are welcome here. You are not tolerated. You are not allowed. You are not accepted. Nice things, but that can be kind of condescending. You are celebrated. We welcome and celebrate all who welcome and celebrate all. In our tradition, we recognize truth and wisdom can be found in many sources. We honor our diverse spiritual backgrounds, our constant quest to grow and learn new ways of looking at things, and embrace the wonder of how our minds are able to expand and flourish in seeing new truths. Through all your time with us, may you experience love. We have all come to this church from many different paths. What unites us in our personal search for our truth are the values of our denomination, which you'll find listed on the back of your order of service. We are different in so many ways. However, those values are our common foundation, and they inform our individual journeys to find and be our best selves to flourish in our lives. There are also reserved chairs at the back of the last row, after the service so everyone can be comfortably included in coffee, conversation, and cookies. If you have a need that isn't being met, please let the person sitting at the welcome table at the entrance know so that they can connect you with somebody who will try to assist. We try to be very intentional in expanding our circle to include everyone, and if somehow we miss the mark, we need to know about it. And now please ensure that your phones and watches are silenced so that we can be fully present to enjoy today's celebratory worship service. As I said, we honor our diverse spiritual backgrounds and how our minds are able to expand when we are not defined by a creed that has been passed down through generations and that we had to accept without question. Instead, we are defined by the real-world commitments we make to engage each other in the present. We are invited, expected to question, learn, and engage in our search for truth and meaning within the core values of our UU denomination. In addition, members of this congregation developed our own commitment in how we choose to be in relationship with each other. We say this agreement every Sunday to remind ourselves of these intentions. Please remain seated and join me in reciting our congregational covenant, printed in your order of service and on the screen. We covenant to engage one another with honesty, kindness, and respect, to value diversity, seek understanding of our differences, and practice gracious accountability with care, love, and empathy. We make these promises to those who are here and those yet to come, so that we may be a safe, welcoming, and beloved community of acceptance, learning, and transformation. Now please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our call to worship. The words are in your order of service and again on the screen. Thank you, Sarah. As Suzanne Ludwig and Robert Clark come forward to assist with the offering, I remind you that we sustain the work of this church through our financial giving. There's an old saying, when you pray for potatoes, reach for a shovel. Faith is one thing, but things don't come to fruition without actions added to our faith. Your faithfulness to your pledge funds our church programming, staff, and community initiatives. Even if you give digitally or by bank draft, we still pass the plate to remind us that the community supports itself. So when it comes to you, even if you've already given, please take it, add your envelope, or just touch it, and add your good vibes, which we got a lot of them this morning, and pass it to your neighbor or the row behind you. It will all be received with gratitude. A reading before our sermon. Actually, it's a recitation, because this was a song written in 1983 by Jerry Herman for the musical La Cage aux Folles. It's a musical declaration of independence for the queer community. This was not just a showstopper song, which it was. It's a coming out speech dressed in sequins and spotlight. I invite you to listen to the words and take them to heart. I am what I am. I am my own special creation. So come take a look. Give me the hook or the ovation. It's my world that I want to take a little pride in, my world, and not a place I have to hide in. Your life is a sham till you can say, hey world, I am what I am. I am what I am. I don't want praise. I don't want pity. I bang my own drum. Some think it's noise. I think it's pretty. And so what if I love each feather and each spangle? Why not try to see things from a different angle? Your life is a sham till you can shout out loud, I am what I am. I am what I am, and I need no excuses. I deal my own deck. Sometimes the ace, sometimes the deuces. There's one life, and there's no return and no deposit. One life. So it's time to open up your closet. Our lives are a sham till we can say, hey world, I am what I am. Manny Andrade is a long-time and beloved member of this congregation. He has recently retired from an illustrious career in social services, serving communities living with HIV. He was ordained in an independent Catholic church in 2003, and we are honored to have Manny in the pulpit again. Manny, this pulpit is yours.
Good morning. My name is Manuel Andrade. Call me Manny. And my pronouns are he and him. Now, over the past several years, I've had the honor and the privilege of presenting a sermon during LGBT Pride Month in June. I enjoyed doing the research a lot and the stimulation it provides. In my voyage of research and discovery previously, I evoked historical accounts of passionate love between Japanese samurai who chose to die rather than give up their relationships. And I refer to the groundbreaking book by Saiharu Ikaku, The Comrade Loves of the Samurai, written in the 17th century and first published privately in 1928. It took a long time to get that book in print, but it did. And I found it in a little bookstore in Greenwich Village in New York City many years ago. It's become one of my prized possessions. You never imagine two samurais being in love with each other, but there you are. In addition, I've also referenced Chris Packer's Queer Cowboys, which examined the earliest LGBT literature in the 19th century. It was American literature in the 19th century that was celebrating love between cowboys. Throughout all of these sermons, we've delved into history that examined the earliest LGBT movements which centered on equality and justice. I shared the story of the heroic Magnus Hirschfeld, a brilliant psychologist who around 100 years ago, during the Weimar Republic in Germany, started the first LGBT program that focused on full acceptance and began the normalization of our experience in the world of psychology. Eventually, the Nazi political machine came down on his work, destroyed his library, and it was the first of its kind in the world. Hirschfeld's work came decades before Kinsey's groundbreaking work. Dr. Hirschfeld was eventually forced to flee to France. A gay Jewish man had no choice in Weimar Germany. He died in the south of France before the start of World War II. In June, the LGBT community celebrates and revels in the gift of who we are. We honor heroic acts by LGBT folks who led the way and opened doors. The tremendous support we so often receive goes a long way to supersede the negative subliminal messages that surround us. Lines are blurred at Pride, and the constant translating we must do, living in a heteronormative culture, it dissipates. We may sometimes not even wince when the need arises, and we must remind folks that there really is no need for a straight Pride march. In June, we breathe a little deeper, perhaps even smile a little wider, and are thankful for our lives, our families of choice, our friends, our beloved allies, and all those who bring light to our lives as we do to theirs. However, we have grown cautious. The celebratory month of June has become bittersweet. We've had to learn hard lessons. Last Friday, we remembered the Pulse nightclub shootings in Orlando on June 12, 2016, and I want to say I was very proud and just thrilled to see about a dozen people from this congregation take the lead. Donna read the invocation. Some of the folks from our church here actually were names readers. We remembered all 49 persons and read their names out loud. So, 10 years ago, a man walked into the Pulse LGBT nightclub in Orlando and killed 49 people and wounded 58 in a mass shooting. The Pulse shooting was the deadliest terrorist attack in the United States at that point since the September 11 attacks. It is one of the greatest mass shootings ever seen in this country. In addition, we have also known mass shootings in historic black churches, grammar schools, and synagogues. We have a pattern of hate and terror that most often directly affects the most vulnerable in this country. 10 years ago, the Pulse nightclub was hosting Latin Night, which drew mostly people who identify as Latino, Latina, or Latinx if you don't want to be gender specific. It was also LGBT Pride Month. Please allow me to picture this for you. It was the weekend. After a busy week of hard work, a few friends decided to have an evening of dance and merriment. For the Latino community, dancing is a very popular way of expressing joy. The steps or mechanics of the dance have their place, but the essence of dance in our community is about expressing joy through movement. I've heard several people say in a humorous way, and I've heard this a lot, Latino children can dance before they learn to walk. At Pulse, the percussion and rhythm of the music carry your feet onto the dance floor. What a pleasant way to top off the work week. Suddenly, you hear sound like firecrackers, and you realize they're shots, and they continue. You hear screams, and you realize you're screaming too. You're surrounded by chaos. You're overwhelmed by fear, and you run. As one survivor stated, "We just wanted to dance." So how do we honor those who perished in this and other tragedies? Remember, we're living in a pandemic of violence. I'm sorry to be the fly on the ointment, but I feel after last week's sermon, I feel like the house is on fire and somebody has to scream fire. So in the aftermath of this and other acts of terror, we hold the victims in our thoughts, we remember them, maybe we even pray. Then life rushes in, and doesn't it feel safer to hold loss, uncertainty, and fear at bay? Last week's sermon, the works of Eric Hepburn, which were so powerfully and well presented by David Dean, we examined imagination, humility, and playfulness as tools to address the toxic polarization we see in our time. I agree with UU worship leader and pulpiteer, I've never heard that word pulpiteer before, Eric Hepburn. We have been socialized to be compliant. It goes against our nature to stand up to the forces of oppression. However, we grow stronger when we are ready to face our pain and fear. Despite the pain and sorrow, if we keep our perspective, we are reminded that the world can still be loving and beautiful. I find that living in the UU faith, I can keep a placid perspective. Faith, the word faith, and I did a sermon years ago on faith. If you boil it down to its essence and you ask St. Paul to just move away a little bit and give us a voice, faith simply means trust. I trust that there is enough goodness in the world that renders such tragedies as Pulse as aberrations. I'm consoled by the words used by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which originate from Theodore Parker, a 19th century Unitarian minister and abolitionist, who in 1953 wrote in his sermon called Of Justice and the Conscience, "The arc is a long one. My eye reaches but little ways, but from what I see, I am sure it bends towards justice." Parker's words reflected his belief in the eventual triumph of justice despite the slow pace of moral progress. Dr. King later popularized the phrase during the civil rights movement, adapting it as, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." He expresses the idea that over time, human history bends towards justice, though achieving it requires persistent effort and struggle. For example, here in Florida and in Jacksonville, when the governor decides to ban LGBT signs and symbols, we replace the symbols as we have in 5 Points from an advantage where he has no say. We cannot decorate the crosswalks in the rainbow colors, but we can paint murals, which we're doing at 5 Points. I'm on that committee. I'm really excited. We can paint murals on private buildings, and we can hang gay pride flags. We can also decorate and light up the Main Street Bridge and turn it into the Rainbow Bridge. We will not be silenced. When I hear a transphobic slur pass off as a joke, it would be easier to ignore them or take the high road. However, a voice dissenting with love can go a long way in helping someone understand the pain they cause. We will be honored. From the pandemic of mass shootings, looking for a more effective way of addressing violence, the DMV probably has a clue. Well, if you want to drive, you must learn to use a car safely. You must be licensed. You must meet eligibility criteria. There may be a very logical answer in terms of addressing gun control. Regulating and keeping guns away from youth and acutely mentally ill people would be a step in the right direction. We must safeguard the beloved community. A school board in Watertown, Wisconsin, voted 7-1 to ban a piece of music from their high school spring concert. The reason? The music was created to honor the legacy of trans activist Marsha P. Johnson. The piece, The Mother of a Revolution, is entirely instrumental, no lyrics, no speeches, no references to gender or sexuality, just music. The school board members claimed it celebrated political violence and removed it from the program after the students had spent months preparing for the performance. The response was immediate. More than 350 students walked out of class and gathered in the school's peace garden, chanting, "Let them play, let them play, let them play." Days later, middle school students staged their own protest after administrators placed the school on a partial lockdown to prevent a walkout. Then the story got even bigger. On May 20th, 2026, that's just a few days ago, composer Omar Thomas flew to Wisconsin to conduct the piece himself. Thomas is an associate professor at the University of Texas at Austin, and he's described the piece as a celebration of strength, joy, and resilience in the face of erasure. The local Lutheran church, yay Lutherans, opened its doors. Hundreds of people packed in to hear the music, and the school board had decided was too controversial for a school concert. What began as an attempt to silence, a tribute to Marsha P. Johnson, a community-wide performance celebrating exactly what the board had tried to stop. They banned the music. The students made sure everyone heard it. We will not be silenced. Thinking along these lines is how we can make a difference. I'm sure there are many other examples of compassionate responses to the toxic polarization that plagues our country. Here we have further guidance from Dr. King. I love this quote. "Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love." I am really impressed by this quote, which coincides directly with our core UU values, which place love at the center of all we do. Love centers the work we do in supporting all sectors of the beloved community to grow and thrive. We have journeyed this morning through examples where, as we said last week, humility, playfulness, and imagination can bring about change and healing. Now, your homework. Just sit there and imagine the impact continued use of these ideas would have if we implemented them in reshaping our community. Amen.
Thank you, Manny. Our final hymn is number 121 in the gray hymnal, We'll Build a Land. Ashley and Taylor will return to extinguish the chalice. Oh, wait, we're going to sing the hymn first. I'm sorry. Got ahead of myself. Stay put, stay put. Please rise and body your spirit. The songs are, the words are on the screen. And now Ashley and Taylor will return to extinguish the chalice. May we take these words to heart that I adapted from an unknown source. How can we flourish, you might ask? Well, we choose inclusion. We choose empathy, compassion, equality, dignity, diversity. We choose community, kindness, integrity, honesty, respect. We choose justice. We choose facts, peace, the planet. We choose humanity. We choose love. Amen. And as you leave this place, take the power to choose with you so you may flourish and show others it can be done. May it be so.